This week on Media Delta, The Legend of Zelda. Excuse me, Princess. Can you please pass the palette? My color seems to be incorrect. A lot. Hello. Welcome to Media Delta. Because we decided that we could do one episode of Parappa the Rappa and just be done with it, I needed another thing to back that up because I was planning on doing 2 episodes originally. So I thought, well, what's a cartoon? What's something that we could watch that's game related? That's media is based on a game. That's short enough that we could do it in just one sitting. I, like an idiot, chose the Legend of Zelda cartoon.
Lo and behold, the hubris of man.
Yes. So we're talking about the Legend of Zelda cartoon today. I was not the only one who watched this. Please introduce yourself in alphabetical order.
Hi, I'm Axe, and I'm... Excuse me, Princess. I'm trying to do an intro here. Had to.
I'm the portable stove, and to quote Ganon in one of these episodes, I'm so upset.
I'm Torpid-Typist, and I'm here for the Horny Fairy.
Yes. The Legend of Zelda cartoon. It was actually, I don't know if spin-off is the right word, but it was a side segment for another game-related show, that being the Super Mario Bros. Super Show.
Which is somehow even worse.
Yeah, somehow. And also very much longer than you'd kind of expect.
It also aired on Friday segments only.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So basically, I want to say it was a 3 times a week show with Monday and Wednesday, where you had the Super Mario Brothers cartoon. But no, on Fridays you got Legend of Zelda. So there were only 13 episodes of the Legend of Zelda compared to the way too many of, well, both the Super Mario Brothers cartoon and the Super Mario Brothers Super Show. So thankfully, it is only 2.5 hours to watch this entire thing.
It was 3.
It was 3 hours.
3 and change.
3.
Right.
For me, it was 6 hours because I watched it twice.
For me, it was...
Yes.
And Wednesday.
Anyway, so let's just go ahead and get these questions out of the way. So, Axe, what were your general impressions, and were there any particular element you would like to bring up?
This is garbage. Like, I mentioned I watched it twice, and that's because the first time I actually just started, like, not paying attention. I try very hard to pay attention when we do these things, and I just drifted. So I was like, all right, fine. You know, it sucked the first time through, and maybe that's not fair because, shit, hold on. Come back to me.
Okay. Stove.
How dare you put me in this position, X? Okay, so yeah, no, this sucked. This was really bad. In general, this has nothing to do with Zelda. I mean, it has stuff to do with Zelda, but they could have like subbed in literally anybody at this point to like, this could have been any kind of cartoon. It didn't have to be Zelda. None of the characters have anything to do with like the original canon, mostly due to the fact that it didn't really exist at the time. And in terms of like any particular elements that needed to be brung up, I think the dynamic between Link and Zelda, but I feel like I can also get like more of that out of how did I feel about the setting and characters, because I think that has a lot to do with it. So I'll just say, I don't know. I would like to bring up that this sucks. I think this is worse than the Super Show, but I guess the Super Show has more to it. I don't know. This is bad. Real bad.
I would say, when's the last time you've watched the Super Show?
A little bit ago. I don't know.
Yeah, let's talk about the time they brought on Elvira.
Yeah, Elvira. Also Roddy Piper.
I didn't say that it was better than the... I didn't say that the live action portions of the Super Show was better than this.
So
yes, bad.
Yeah. I guess Axe, now that you're back, let's go back to you.
Yeah, shit. Sorry about that. So, so I watched this twice. The second time because I wanted to give it a fair shake, and I think, kind of try to do that. And no, it sucks. It sucked the second time through, and it sucked even more because I was actually paying attention to what was happening on screen. I'd also like to shout out to whichever animators did such loving detail on the Zola's asses.
Okay,
Because
good. We were going to bring that up. I was want to make sure one of us brought that up.
that is an element I'd like to discuss. It's just how detailed and juicy them asses were.
So it was great because there were two times when they showed up. Both of them had very clear ass shots. One of them had a Hank Hill syndrome a little bit. The other one very much did not.
Like I was hoping I wasn't the only one who noticed it, because then I'd have to do some inner reflections. But yeah,
we noticed it.
No, it's just like this whole production is just this endless nightmare of how do we badly fuck up all of these characters who haven't really had any characterization to begin with, but still somehow get it wrong. And we'll get into those parts later. But just God, this whole experience was miserable. It wasn't funny. It was uncomfortable a lot of the time. And just looking back on it, how did any of us like this?
Because we were 6.
I never saw this until now.
Also, Zola asses.
I watched this when I was a child, and that is the only time that I enjoyed it.
You could bounce a quarter off that Zola ass.
Oh,
yes, you could.
Fine asses.
You could bounce a rupee.
Oh yeah, and the fact that they're rubies, not rupees. Fuck off.
I think that might have been just a mumble, but yes. Also, I think at some point some of the manual might have actually said ruby or rupee. I can't remember. Right. But yeah.
So that's my
yeah. So Torpo.
It fucking sucked. It was ass. And I'm gonna mention something that they didn't mention, is that the animation is fucking abysmal. There are animation errors out the yin yang, and it is everything just looks and moves terribly, and it is a shame.
Yeah.
Also, like, it's weird because they get some weird details in there, but they still don't feel or like seem right, like in relation to game stuff. But
yeah, because that's the thing that I was going to mention, is the fact that for how utterly cheaply this thing looks like when it's animated, like just glaring animation errors throughout, like just color shifting, like people just kind of shifting out of there, people getting out off model. But the thing is that they actually get like the character designs actually more right than they probably should have. Like the Zola looks like a Zelda Zola. The Gleeok, the 2 times that it shows up, looks like the manual description, or like it looks like a Gleeok. Like it looks like the art version of the Gleeok.
Okay, but they got the Dodongos wrong.
That was just how the Dodongo looked back then.
Can't wait to bomb some.
And that was the other thing was there is one piece of animation, it's very minor, that was actually really good, and it's when Link was telling the story of the window smashing, and it's the last episode, and the rock flies through the window and smashes a vase, and it actually looks really good when the vase smashes. Like, it's a really good piece of animation, but it's the only piece of animation that was fluid and looked nice.
Yeah.
Also, another thing quick is something we should mention is that because of certain rules that were in place, Link could actually never hit something with his sword. He always had to shoot them with the sword, and there was never actually any real violence towards Link that was shown on camera, and it was kind of amazing.
That's because if Link ever got hit, he couldn't shoot them with a sword.
No, he got hit. It was just off camera.
Right.
Yeah.
He got hit a lot, actually.
And also, let's talk about the fact that Zelda is kind of switches between damsel and like action hero at a whim. Like every so often, she actually shows she's competent in combat, and then out of nowhere, oh help me, I can't do anything, I'm a woman.
It's I think that, and I think we'll kind of segue that into our next category, because I think that is, I know that was something that Torpo was going to bring up probably, because I know it's something that I know that he's mentioned a few times to me. But yeah, the settings and characters of this, Torpo, yeah.
So to start, Link's a piece of shit. He's just an asshole. But the weird thing is he gets more shit than he deserves for being a dick. Because Zelda treats him like absolute dog shit the whole way through, and they had this really weird, incredibly toxic codependency going on. And it really is telling when in one episode they replace Zelda with a clone, an evil clone, but that clone treats him well. Like, she's really genuinely good to him. And the way he tells that she is a fake is because she is kind to him and willing to put out.
Yeah. It's just really not great. It's
And then like the King of Hyrule is just a worthless fucking idiot. The fairy Sprite, which is a terrible name, is fucking thirsty as shit for Link and constantly blueballing him because of it. Ganon is fucking useless, even when he actually gets shit done.
Yeah.
There's also a weird He-Man wannabe, and that actually feeds into the Zelda being a piece of shit. Because she starts ignoring Link, and he starts feeling shitty about it, so he starts trying to impress her while this handsome prince is there. And he fucks up a bit, and so they start making fun of him together and laughing at him.
Yeah.
That episode is fucking weird. Like,
Yeah.
you name the prince Facade, and then you're like, oh no, he's on the up and up. He just hates getting dirty. What the fuck is that?
I don't know.
I love how just on the nose the name was. I was just shouting, it's like, no, you can't do that.
See, I just kept saying he looked like Prince Adam. Like, just He-Man motherfucker.
Yeah. That was like the third episode.
And like it's really highlighted like in the final episode, which is a wet fart of a final episode, I might add, because it ends up going nowhere and accomplishing nothing. You learn that Zelda's in love with him, but she still treats him like a piece of shit.
Which, to be fair, he is.
Up until the very end, where she goes in for the kiss, and then Sprite fucking cock blocks him.
Yep.
And that's it.
Yeah, it's not great. Also, I just happened to look at, because I have the list of episodes here. I noticed that one Bob Forward was credited as the writer of there. I do also happen to notice that there is an Bob Forward and Eve Forward that worked on this. And I am guessing that they are, in fact, actually, I take it back. She is actually the daughter of Bob Forward, who wrote the episode, or apparently Bob Forward and Eve Forward wrote the Doppelganger episode together, and Eve Forward was the one who wrote the episode "The Moblings Are Revolting."
God, that was one too.
A very weird episode that ended very questionably.
What was it? Another one was God, yeah, that was like Zelda trusts Link so little that when Moblins actually kidnap her, she thinks Link is fucking with her.
That's because
she made him clean.
Well, that was because he was planning on making fake Moblins, and she overheard him.
Yeah.
Yeah, and also before it was great because like you see Link like after a Moblin attack come in and like he's just in the middle of a bunch of rubble, and Zelda comes in and is like, oh, why are you sleeping on the job? Even though it looks like something broke and he might actually be hurt.
And just like all the time, also he's there to protect the Triforce, but she has him doing like random little duties around the castle, like cleaning up, despite the fact that she should be employing servants for that.
She was making the fucking fairy clean. What? Come on.
Yeah, she makes these weird like power plays on Link, and I don't know why.
Yeah.
And Link is Simp Master Supreme.
It's like because there was there was a big push, I believe it was during time of like the 80s and 90s, where there's a push to have like female characters in cartoons, like make sure that they are more like they aren't just like, the stereotypical girl, like more in power. And it seems like this is doing it like somehow both too much and also at the same time it is Zelda, so The Legend of Zelda, so she is kidnapped most of the time. So it's like bad on both angles. Because this, like having an action Zelda is what kind of the franchise actually kind of needs. But this was not a good way of doing it.
Look, if Zelda was the hero, what would Link be doing?
Being in a different game.
Never forget that is an official line from Nintendo.
Great. So, Stove, what are your thoughts on the setting / characters?
Well, for one, there's no real setting. I mean, Hyrule is just a generic fantasy town. There's nothing really to it. Like the first episode kind of highlights that when they have like a magic face-off or whatever the fuck, and there's just a generic Merlin, a generic like goofy ass magician, stuff like that. But also, like it just seems to be like a generic ass fantasy town, and it blows. On the other hand, as well, the characters. Torpo pretty much hit on pretty much every single point that I would have had, except, so full disclosure for anybody listening, I didn't finish the series. I could not get through it. So it is surprising that at the end it's like, oh, Zelda loves Link, haha. There is the worst tension in the entire fucking world between them. I just look at like episode 6, the one where everything is just sinking or whatever, where Link just shows her like a beautiful meadow or whatever, and her response is to push him down and say, okay, it's time for me to finally kiss you. I'm just like, they're gonna do it. They're just gonna have sex right then and there. But they can't because it's an 80s cartoon. Just what the hell? Just in general, the king is useless. The fairy, the thirsty fairy, just kind of unimportant. Ganon is pretty much Skeletor, except worse. Link is a jackass, and I think we'll get into that in the next question. And Zelda just, she turns between a damsel and a action lady, and it doesn't work either way.
Yeah,
she's way too she is way too like bossy in certain aspects, and it just drives me up a wall.
Yeah. Also, I'd like to issue a clarification. Bob Forward and E Forward are in fact brother and sister. Their father was named Robert Forward, as well as Bob Forward, who was also named Robert Forward.
Okay, so all of that was a million times more interesting than the entirety of the show. In fact, that arc from the beginning to this point right here was better than any of the arcs in the show.
Also, I'm looking at Bob Forward's filmography, and it also makes sense. He did, in fact, write for She-Ra and Brave Star, and also...
Brave Star, Jesus.
Also, one episode of Biker Mice from Mars, and also 2 episodes of Adventures of Sonic the Hedgehog.
Biker Mice from Mars.
But,
no fucking kidding, huh?
Yeah, I gotta find out what those episodes were.
Also, something I forgot to mention is that the King of Hyrule is so fucking useless and incompetent that the fairies actually started sending like water golems or whatever you want to call them to attack the people of Hyrule because he was funneling off a bunch of water to his sweet water park.
So just to tie back to Adventures of Sonic the Hedgehog, one of the episodes that he wrote was Attack on Pinball Fortress.
Oh my god.
Hey, it's Torpid's favorite episode.
Yeah, the one with stupidity, right? That we hated for burning fiery passion. So yes. Axe, what are your thoughts on the setting / characters?
Everybody sucks. Everybody is just garbage. I remember Stove, Carnival, and I kind of had a bit of a back and forth on Twitter about this, and it's just amazing how Zelda clearly has a fetish for negging. She just gets totally off on Link negging the absolute shit out of her. And he very much likes being bossed around. And that's played out very clearly. But it's great because at the same time, Zelda switches between being a damsel and being a warrior. And at the exact same time, her feelings towards Link are either, I'm going to fuck you right now, or I'm just going to be tsundere. And it just, like a switch. It could happen in the middle of whatever weird ass foreplay they seem to be into, but it's never consistent. And at one moment, she's like, "No, don't touch me," and then it's like, "I'm gonna make out with you right now." It's terrible. There's no chemistry between the two characters. Link's just an asshole the entire time. He does nothing but shit all over Zelda, and then in turn, she just shits right back on him.
As I said, it's like this extremely toxic codependency they have going.
Yeah. And like y'all pointed out, he's supposed to be protecting the Triforce, which, first of all, the Triforce implies there's 3. I don't remember if the first game had 3 Triforces or if it only had. Okay, so the cartoon gets wrong. There's two Triforces in this. There's the Triforce of Power and the Triforce of Wisdom. They just omitted Courage because
They
sure,
didn't
why
realize
not?
that's embedded in Link. And
Right,
yes, also, if you know your language, try means 3.
right, and that's even better because during some scenes with the Triforces in them, the Triforces turn into diamonds because, whoops, I guess I don't know.
Actually, that reminds me of one of my favorite things about the Triforce of Wisdom is one time we see Zelda just like floating in her hands. Another time she has it on a chain, taking it for a fucking walkie.
Yeah, yeah, I remember that episode. I don't remember the name of the episode, but yeah. And then it's just every character is just miserable. Ganon has the worst voice acting, I think, in the
So
entire
bad.
show. In the entire show, like everybody else seems to kind of fit, but Ganon's is just this weird screech that, like, Skeletor. You mentioned Skeletor. Skeletor's voice is iconic and funny because you don't expect that out of a skeleton, and it works kind of. But with Ganon, it's just this weird. I don't know. It sounds like he's warming up to do like a metalcore song or something. It's just,
It does sound like he's wrecking his throat the entire time.
yeah, it's just terrible. Oh, what else?
It's a dollar store. Skeletor is the thing.
Yeah, and the setting, as Stowe pointed out, there's no setting. It's like the only places we see are the castle and maybe some of the forest and then the underworld. That's it. There's nothing that really tells us what's going on. We don't go into town. We don't really go anywhere interesting. We see inside Ganon. We see Ganon's fortress, which is just this bizarre, like mashed painting, where everything just looks like somebody used a blur tool on everything. It's just ugly to look at. Just the whole show it's kind of like this. It has the Sonic Adventures of Sonic problem where the world just exists to exist and give them a place to stand.
Yeah, because I was looking up the voice actor for Ganon when also none of the voice actors in this are particularly noteworthy. I looked up one Len Carlson, who is the voice of Ganon. Kind of funny to me, at least, because a lot of this stuff is, for some reason, a lot of animated versions of cartoons. Like he was in the Beetlejuice, Police Academy, RoboCop. He also reprised his role as Ganon for Captain N in the one episode he appears. But also he's the voice of Hugo and Q from Street Fighter 3 Third Strike for some reason. But yes, that I just want. Also, he's the announcer on Garbage Pail Kids, which is automatically.
That's a lose. That's a lose right there.
Yep.
Yeah. I do want to point out, I'm sorry, I did forget about this in terms of the setting, which I'll kind of go like in terms of the lore. And it was brought up earlier that there's only 2 pieces of the Triforce. The Triforce of Courage does not exist, which makes sense considering that Link is just kind of a dick and probably would not have the Triforce of Courage.
Well, he has the courage to be a dick.
Yes.
And he does show courage during episode 3 when he goes to save Zelda and Prince Valiant does not. But still, it sucks.
Yeah. So my general thoughts are basically everyone sucks. This version of Hyrule might as well just be any sort of fantasy thing. Granted, Hyrule basically was just another fantasy thing at the time this came out. This kind of it's sort of based on a little bit of Zelda 2, but it is primarily Zelda 1. There is a grand total of 1 Zelda 2 enemy that shows up, which is the Moby, which is the bird. Was the only Zelda 2 enemy that showed up. None of the other elements showed up. Also, the music was primarily from 1. Like they actually do use the Legend of Zelda theme quite a bit. It also won cameo appearance of the Super Mario Bros. Theme via Link.
I also noticed that sometimes when like Link actually did get hit by something, they would just play the damage sound from the game.
Right. Yeah. They also have the syndrome that a lot of these things have, especially in the early 80s. Or not the early 80s, but the 80s. Where they just use random sound effects from the show. Well, not random. They are actually fitting, but they use the sound effects of the show. Like when someone dies, it is the noise that they make in Zelda 1. Also, the sword beam noise is the sword beam noise from the game.
And I want to give the show credit. At least the one good thing about it is the soundtrack. The arrangements they did for the music, they were good. The use of Hyrule Field was really good. They also had I think some of the dungeon themes, and I
Oh,
mean,
yeah.
the music was good. It's just a shame it was in this cartoon.
Also, let's take a second to appreciate their way of like hand waving how Link carries all that shit around, despite just wearing a tunic, which is just all of his items shrink. These tiny little trinkets he keeps in his pockets.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Actually,
What the fuck?
I do take that back. One of the voice actress of Sprite, which is Tabitha Saint Germain, might sound familiar to some.
Oh my
If
god.
you're familiar with a certain show involving ponies.
Yeah.
She is the
Oh.
voice of Rarity
Oh, okay.
on the newer My Little Pony. Also,
I knew
Princess
I had
Luna.
heard her voice before, so that makes sense.
Yep. Also, a lot of I don't see anything else, but the other I'm pretty sure when I looked up the other voice actors, it was nothing major. Yeah, the voice of Link doesn't even have 4 things it is known for in IMDb. Just a lot of bit parts. But yeah, speaking of Link, one thing I wanted to go for is because one of the things about Legend of Zelda that's been a consistent throughout the series is the fact that Link never talks. So the question is, and I guess we'll start with facts. How do you feel about Link being 1 voiced and 2 an asshole?
Well, I would counter that up until the point this cartoon came out, he never talked, but he technically does make noises. I don't know if you'd count it as talking, but he does in later games. But that's just splitting hairs. This being the first time he does get voiced, I mean, I'm not against it. If you get the right voice actor, you get the right tone, you get the character right, it could be fine. It could also go terribly wrong if you do it badly, like here, or other M. Here it's done horrible. Like, why did we make Link an asshole? Why did we make him a sexual predator? Why did we make him a harasser? Why is it like his entire motivation is to get laid? And why is he so goddamn creepy about it? Like the end of the one episode where his belt gets wrapped around him and Zelda, and he's like, "Oh, I'm not letting you out until you kiss me." And she acquiesces to it, which is just all the wrong messaging. But Jesus, he's just relentlessly like horny, and in a way that's stalkery and creepy. Like he tries to sneak into a room either out of his own volition or through sleepwalking. It's just his entire character sucks. So like I don't mind him being voiced, but I do mind getting this terrible Joe Biden-y character.
God damn it.
You really had to slip that in there, didn't you?
I had to.
You really didn't, but okay.
That's my take.
All right.
So yeah, I can deal with Link being voiced again, as Zach said, if it's done like a good way. This was not it. Like I think the ideal Link, kind of jumping off of the back of the thing that we got in the Japanese version of Breath of the Wild, is a Link that doesn't really talk much, but that's because I don't remember exactly why he doesn't talk that much, but regardless, yeah, we have a jokey asshole kind of predatory Link who really fucking likes Steve Martin for some reason. Just I don't like this Link at all. I think just it doesn't fit that he just, the very first thing we find out about him is that he hates being in Hyrule and he wishes that he was still sleeping in mud. Just like, what really? That's what you're going for, huh? You don't want to be in a castle, you want to be fighting monsters, even though you're fighting monsters right now. The only difference is that you sleep in a bed. Oh no, that sucks.
And also he's a glorified servant.
Yeah, also he's a glorified servant, which true, okay, that's fair. I wouldn't want to live in that situation. But yeah, I don't like Link. I don't like the fact that he is pretty much motivated by, hey, Zelda, give me a kiss. Haha.
He did it.
Yeah, get it. And one thing that it was actually not brought up, I think, a little bit earlier was there was, I think in the second episode, that moment where Zelda was just like, she was sitting on her bed for some reason. Link just shows up to rescue her and immediately just tries to jump on her on the bed. It is fucking gross.
He totally Tommy Wiseau's that scene.
Yeah. Yeah, no. That's a thumbs down for me, dog. I don't like this Link.
Yeah. Yeah. So, Torpo?
I mean, so I feel nothing about Link being voiced. I couldn't care less. I mean, let's be honest. Link, on the whole, has never really had a personality, or at least much of one. So, like, yeah. That said, Link being an asshole is a different beast unto itself, and, like, I've said my fucking thoughts on him being an absolute piece of fucking garbage. Just the purest trash. Him and Zelda are made for each other.
Yep.
But, yeah, I know, Link has never been much of a character in my eyes, so...
Yep. Because at this point, obviously in Zelda 1, he never had the ability to talk because there really wasn't a reason to. And in Zelda 2, he technically has one line, which he says, "I found a mirror under the table." But yes, I just more thought of that in kind of more future context because of just how the Legend of Zelda has just been further and further, like getting more like Breath of the Wild actually having voice dialogue and all that. While Link's still not talking, it's just here it's weird. But speaking of future elements, Torpo, how do you feel about some of the more, because there's a few things in the show that actually kind of weirdly came true in the mainline series. Particularly ones that I wanted to bring up were there was a scene in which he throws a bomb. And what does he do with that bomb? He puts a shield on top of it and surfs it, just like in Breath of the Wild.
Yeah, I could never do that right. Oh, I fucking sucked at that.
Also, the fact that the entire plot of The Missing Link is basically Spirit Tracks.
It's Spirit Tracks, but, like, reversed. But,
Yeah.
No, it's... I felt nothing about that. Like, once again, if you throw enough darts at a fucking board, you might just hit the center.
Yeah. Also one other prophetic thing. Horny fairies.
Yeah. Oh God. Yes. Oh Jesus. Oh, ever since Ocarina, but holy shit, Breath of the Wild threw that into overdrive. They got a thing for Link. It's fucked up. Granted, Breath of the Wild in general is very horny, but that's neither here nor there.
Yep.
That said, I mean, it's just a coincidence, really. I do find the reversal of Spirit Tracks amusing with Spirit Tracks. Yeah, no, it is what it is. The bomb jump is a funny coincidence, but nah.
Yeah. All right, Stoph, what about you?
Does King Harkinian count? Hey, here's the king. Here he is. He sucks.
Oh, also at one point saying, "Link, my boy."
My boy. Yeah, no, that's all I got. I
would bet you that I bet you that's more the CDI probably took inspiration from the cartoon.
Well, there you go. There's one thing. It's not the main series, but yeah, we have our one link between the cartoon and a form of video game starring Link. But yeah, I don't really have anything. There isn't really much to talk about. Like, I guess there's a fucking shady merchant that might be in some of the other games. I don't fucking know.
Well, definitely, if there's a shady merchant, definitely not questionable like that depiction.
You know what? Now that you bring that up, yeah.
Yep.
The worst thing is I didn't. So I actually didn't finish that episode. I thought it was Ganon. Is it Ganon?
No.
Oh, for fuck's sake! That makes it worse.
No, just some fucking shyster. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh Lord. But
he does take the sword to Ganon, and Ganon takes the sword from him forcibly.
Great.
Yeah, but then it's great because he tries to fuck over Ganon with the help of Link and Zelda, and then tries to fuck them over as well.
He tries to steal the Triforce, but Zelda hid the Triforce in Link's dirty laundry and gave him a box of bees. Yeah.
So it was ants. It was ants.
Oh, ants.
Oh yeah, it was
right.
ants. Ants.
Why the fuck is Link like a college dorm mate? What the fuck is that about?
Yeah, there's a minor plot point about how disgusting the pile of clothes he has in his room are. Like, the stench is so bad that that bird that comes in, Zelda almost suffocates the damn thing in a pile of Link's shitty laundry.
I mean,
it's a defense mechanism.
To be fair, yes, I imagine Link would smell awful, but who fucking cares? Like, why even put that in the show?
Yeah, it wasn't necessary.
But yeah, there's not much really to say about like prophetic elements. I guess if anything, the shield jump is kind of as Torpo said, a funny coincidence. There's not much else to it other than that.
Yeah. What about you, X?
I mean, just it. I don't think it actually. It's like this. It's Simpsons. The Simpsons did so much that they accidentally got stuff. It's throwing darts at the door, like Torpid said. You know, they. I'm full of like idioms at the moment. Clock strikes right twice a day. A stop clock is right twice a day. It accidentally got some stuff that was down the line. I'm sure there might have been a couple things that they remembered and said, "Hey, let's put this in." But overall, meh.
Yeah. Yeah. I just put that in there because I thought it was funny. It was just like, oh, weird that one very specific thing. More the missing link thing was funny because when I was playing the Spear Text originally and I saw that, I'm like, huh, okay, that's like that one episode of that cartoon. Anyway,
just real quick before we move on, I do want to point out one thing. I think is that if Sprite was an actual size, I'm pretty sure Link would just go for it. Just putting that out there.
Look, if there's anything the internet has taught me, it's that you can make it work.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
Link's just a coward.
He is. Mm-hmm. That's the big thing. Is Link is a fucking coward.
I don't think he's a coward. I think he's just way too lazy.
He's not the micro.
You can only get the Triforce of Courage if you figure out what to do with this fairy. All right, let's move on now.
Yeah. So okay. So this one, I think this last question will probably take really quick. So X, how do you feel about this in relation to the video games?
I mean, of the cartoons we watched, like if you compare it to Sonic, it actually used the noises correctly. It used a lot of the elements from the games correctly, but it also sucked. Just every minute of it was just drags on, and like in relation to the games, like if it was like a similar question that you asked, you know, how does this prepared you for? Does this make you want to play? This would make me walk away from the franchise. It's a terrible, terrible representation of the product. That's where I'm at.
Stove.
So here was the thing that I was kind of thinking of a little bit earlier was I don't have like any experience or any knowledge of like video game shows that came before the Super Mario Brothers Super Show. So like your Dragon Lairs and your Saturday Morning Supercades and whatnot. I figure that if I had watched those and came away thinking, wow, that has nothing to do with like Donkey Kong Jr. or whatever, I might be a little bit more like tolerant of this. As it stands, no, this does not make me feel like I want to play the game. It doesn't make me feel like it adds anything to the lore or anything. It's just not great. It is a detriment to The Legend of Zelda as a whole. The only video game this really works with is, as I kind of joked before, the CDI games, and I really don't think that they were going, we need to make Link only want to get it in with Zelda as a character trait. I don't think that came from, I don't think they really went in that direction, but yeah, there's nothing worth like salvaging from this, except for maybe the shield jump.
Torpo.
Honestly, for all the things it gets right, it's all very superficial. Like, it just feels like they're checking off boxes after a point. Like, they get some of the designs right. There's the sound effects, which are all used wrong. So, I mean, yeah, there are bits and pieces here, but none of it kind of meshes together quite right. Also, it sucks.
Yeah. Yeah, my thoughts are generally just, okay, it existed. It's something kind of tied to it. Like, when I was a kid and, like, Zelda, I thought, oh, hey, it's a cartoon. It's like that game I like, and I'll play more of than watch this ever. Yeah, it's just, yeah, if this was your first exposure to Zelda, I don't know why you'd play the games. But yeah, so I think it's time we rank this. If this is the first one you've taken a look or listened to, we rank our things based on a 1 to 21 scale, with 1 being absolute mastercraft, 21 being don't even bother. Like, it's not even so bad it's good. So X, what is your number?
I'm kind of torn because I don't want to put this at the bottom because there are certain things that are okay about it. But I also don't think that this is nightmare fuel. I don't think like this is so bad you have to see it kind of thing. I'd put this at like a 17 or 8.
17 or 18?
Yeah.
Okay. Stove, what about you?
I'm honestly kind of going the other way. I wouldn't put it at 21. Like there are some for like I think in terms of like a curiosity of yeah, I think I need to look at this just to see what it's about. There's some kind of thing there. And yeah, they do a few things good, but not enough to really justify it that much. I would actually just say 20, not necessarily 21, but just definitely not really fleshed out as well as it should have been.
Okay. Torpor, what about you?
I mean, it's astoundingly mediocre. It's a show. It's a kid show. I mean, it's not complete dog shit, not completely terrible. So I wouldn't put it like 20 or 21 or 19. I just put it like 17 or 18 because it's fucking awful.
Yeah.
But I don't know. It's mediocre at best.
Yep. And going from that, I actually think that 7 or 18 is a really good spot for it. Because watching it might just have been that I watched this right after doing Pans or perhaps Opera. I think I might have needed to extend this number for just for these particular because to be honest, this is going to be kind of bottom heavy list. But I do think that it's not quite in that level of it's bad. Like, don't get me wrong, it's not good, but it does get a few things right, and it's mostly just it's harmless. Like, it didn't like miss out anything. It just kind of sucks. Um, which I think 18. Like, the one thing we do have in 18 for this particular list is that Super Mario Brothers: The Great Mission for Rescue Princess Peach,
Okay, yeah.
which was just completely boring and just nothing happened. It's the same kind of dread, like the same kind of feeling that I had when watching this.
And also, I failed to mention it before, but the episodes, as bad as they are, they actually do have a flow and a pace. Like everything makes sense. It's not like Sonic where it's all madcap and zany and nothing works together. Every story has a beginning, a middle, and end, and it all makes sense and flows. It's just not good.
Yeah. Which, yeah, because thinking about that actually, especially since this is kind of so early on, and we really don't have a whole lot. Because even looking at the other media list, our numbers go from 11 straight to 21. So we don't have a whole lot in that kind of bottom tier. And I'm actually kind of thinking that this should probably go in 17. Because I do think it is a step up from that Super Mario Bros. OVA, because that was just boring. It was
Yeah.
draining to watch, which is also was kind of draining to watch. But also, normally, if you're going to watch this, you're probably not going to do what we did and watch it all in one sitting.
Also, most people know what they're getting into.
Yeah. It's
And you're probably doing it for like irony. Like,
Yeah.
oh, hey, let's have a laugh at this.
unless for some reason you're actually going into it, I'm like, okay, I've heard things about this. I'm actually kind of curious.
How
Which-
bad could it be?
Yeah.
Very bad.
Yeah.
In
Not
the
as bad
future,
as-
if there's like Legend of Zelda on Netflix and you go, huh, Zelda, I'm going to watch this. Oh, no. When does it get good?
Like it's bad, but it's not, Digital Devil Saga bad.
No.
Yeah. And
It's watchable.
yeah, actually,
It
I would.
wallows in its mediocrity.
Yeah.
I would definitely actually agree in terms of it being on 17 because, yeah, it's not. I would hesitate to say it's boring. It's not good, but it's not quite as boring as, say, the Mario OVA that we watched.
Yeah.
It's
Because
just aggressively mediocre.
I'm
Yeah.
taking a look, like I just popped up the actually let me do defense because that might actually be or excuse me resistance. If I look up what for the games for resistance, we have things like 1942. We have the original Sonic the Hedgehog, a Jersey Devil, Bob, 3D Battles of World Runner, Chuck Rock. Those games they're not necessarily the worst, but they're definitely not great by any stretch of the imagination. So yeah, I think that 17 is a good spot for this. So yeah, Yeah, so we'll put that there. Now, let's talk about certain charms. So, is there anything you want to call out for music, charm, cinematography, storytelling, action, and art?
Thumbs up for music, and then thumbs down for pretty much everything.
Yeah, the music was pretty good. The charm, it just feels bad.
And the animation was terrible.
Animation was bad. The story was badly written. The action kind of there's a lot of flourish. Like they're trying to be cool, but also at the same time, it just seems stupid. And the
And it
art's
doesn't
bad.
help that they cannot do certain things.
Yep.
So it just ends up looking really goofy and awkward.
Yeah. And I can't really think of anything else to put on it because there's no campy charm. The length is perfectly fine. It's I could put boring, but I don't think that quite fits it. I just think it's bland, or like I just think it's just mediocre.
It's mediocre with a dash of bad.
Yeah. Can I throw in a quick question, just real quick, just to round this out? I think.
Yep.
I don't think this will really affect the ranking or anything. Would it have been preferable if Link was more of a kind of like generic "I'll save you, Princess Zelda" character instead of just a like massive asshole?
No, then
No.
it would have just been boring.
Yeah,
All right, that's fair. Okay.
Like if they
Yeah.
gave him a real personality and some motivation other than doinking, I probably would have liked it. At least a little bit. And I probably could have put up with Horny Fairy, because then you wouldn't have two overly horny characters like just clashing against one another, and then have just the terrible sexual tension between Link and Zelda. And just, it was like watching an episode of Cheers, but without any of the jokes.
Yeah. I don't know why. I just thought of that. Like the idea of a Link that is just like your generic ass knight fucking sucks, but I don't know. That was just a thought I had.
You saying that X has just made me wonder who is the Fraser Crane of Hyrule?
Oh God. I don't think anybody really was smart enough to be Fraser. Like the king was definitely.
It's Kapora Gabora.
Because the king is
God
Cliff.
damn it.
The king is Cliff. Without question, the king is Cliff. Or Norm. He's either one of those two.
Yeah, I think
Anyway.
being that the fuck off. Yeah, you know what? Fuck this
No,
conversation.
you've got me on this now. Link is Ted Danson's character, and Zelda is clearly Diane.
I'm so very glad I get none of this. Like, I live a better life for that.
Hey X,
What?
There is
What
no
do you
Cheers
do?
video game.
What do I do?
Yeah,
Well,
what do
let
you
me tell
do?
Yeah,
I-
so
I watch Cheers.
yeah, so basically, yeah, I think that's it for Zelda. I'll rank it at 17 with basically the art being or the music being good, everything else being kind of bad. So with that being the ending, Axe, is there anything you'd like to plug?
Yes, I've got my streams at twitch.tv/AxeImmortal.
Stove, what about you?
Give me 1 second. Okay, I was gonna say I would like to plug Frasier on Netflix, but it's no longer there.
It's on Hulu.
Oh, it's on Hulu now. Instead, I will plug myself at twitch.tv/portablestove, where I have not played a Zelda yet, but maybe in the future. Who knows?
But you will be playing Time in
Shut the fuck up, X.
And it's got like the same kind of sexual tension, really.
Oh, for fuck's sake.
No, it's even worse. It's worse.
Yep. Torpo, what about you?
Twitch.tv/torpidtypist and at torpidtypist on Twitter. And what I would like to plug is this. I got nothing.
All
The
the
whole
holes in your
Hyrule
body.
Castle that the Moblins snuck in through. I guess I don't know.
Don't be
Yeah.
us. Don't watch Zelda. Just play Animal Crossing like everyone else is.
Yeah, just like the GameCube version. Any version of Animal Crossing is better than watching the show.
Staring at paint dry is better than watching the show.
And if you get a cheat device for Animal Crossing on the GameCube, you know what you can do? You can play The Legend of Zelda. There you go. It's much better than this cartoon.
Yes. So that'll do it for The Legend of Zelda. Next week, it's the start of April. So I say we do, well, that actually, we're taking a look at something that confused me a lot for an April Fool's joke. Basically we were taking a look at something I think is fairly interesting. I won't quite spoil it, but if you are familiar with me, um, actually, you're probably not familiar with this cartoon, but anyway, this entire segment, we're taking a look at a Russian
it's very-
cartoon. We're
it's
taking a
very-
look. We're taking a look at a Soviet era cartoon next week that just happens to share a name of a certain franchise that I love.
Is it Pac-Man?
No,
Oh,
Shit.
there is a
Oh.
Pac-Man cartoon, but that's not what we're doing.
oh, that's right.
Anyway, yep, that's it. Thanks for listening.
Show's over, folks. Get out of here.
That's it. See ya.
Don't let the door hit you on the ass.
This has been another episode of Media Delta. If you would like to view the entire list of rankings for yourself, you can go to r3.ldp.life to see the Resonance and Essence list that Media Delta covers, as well as the other lists that are covered by our sister show, Retro Rank Rhapsody. If you'd like to watch Retro Rank Rhapsody, you can watch it live on Fridays at 7:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, Saturdays at 2:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, and Sundays at 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, live on Twitch at twitch.tv/loadofpuzzlo. Or you can view any of the episodes anytime at youtube.ldp.life. If you would like to help with hosting costs, you can go to patreon.ldp.life and help out with a $2 or $5 pledge. If you would like to discuss this episode and any other episode of our community, you can join our Discord server at discord.ldp.life. If you want to follow the show on Twitter, you can follow it at Hazeltown Story, or you can follow me, your host, at LoloDePuzzlo. Thank you for listening, and I hope you come back for the next episode.